Alright, so when you're naming with ionic compounds with transition metals will have various charges. So will metals in the p block, or the metals that are directly found under the nonmetals. There are a few exceptions. Silver, which will always have a +1 charge, zinc and cadmium will always have a +2 charge, and aluminum will always be +3. These elements you will not need to use a Roman numeral. For those of you who don't know what a Roman numeral is, I'm going to draw you a little chart, and it will line up what charges get what Roman numerals. And they're pretty simple. So charge is over here, and Roman numeral is over here. So if you got 1, your Roman numeral is going to be just an I. A +2 charge will get II. A +3 charge will get 3 I's. +4 will get an I and then a V. +5 we'll get a simple V. +6 we'll get VI, and then +7 we'll get VII. So when we name or try and figure out a formula, we can just simply look at the name. So here we have iron 3 oxide. So the Roman numeral indicates that the iron is going to have an oxidation state of +3. So we've already written down that iron, which has a symbol of Fe, has a +3 charge, and oxygen has a -2. Oxygen will always have a -2. So we do the crisscross rule, and we come up with a formula of Fe2O3. Now, we're going to do a couple examples together of how to name with an ionic compound that has a transition metal or a D or P block metal. So those are elements in groups 13 or 12 through 3 through 12, and then the metals in 13 through 16. So let's start here. So PbO2. Well, this is a hard one because we're not going to take the charge from the 2. So we're going to write the Pb. We're going to assume there's a 1 charge. Now, oxygen, there are 2 of them. Well, all oxygens have a -2 charge, or oxidation state. So something's not adding up, because if I uncross here, I'm going to have 1 here, but I need to have it be a -2. So in order to get my charges here and here to line up, I'm going to do a little conversion. So I'm going to rewrite this as Pb2O4. This way, when I uncross, oxygen will have its -2 charge, and now when I go to uncross here, the subscript with the oxygen, I'll get a +4 charge. So that means when I go to write the name, it'll be lead -4, because the charge on lead again is 4, oxide. Notice I'm not putting a Roman numeral after the oxide, because oxygen again always has a plus or a -2 charge. So one more example. Fe2S3. So in order to figure out the charge on the transition metal, we're going to uncross. So iron has 2, which is going to go back to sulfur and make -2, which works because sulfur is in group 16. And if you'll recall, all group 16 nonmetals have a -2 charge. Now, so that means the 3 goes back to the iron, so we make it a +3. So that means our formula is going to be iron 3, because we have to have a Roman numeral if we have a transition or a p-block metal, iron 3 sulfide. So now we're going to do a little bit more practice. Tin 2 chloride. So to figure out the formula, we're going to write the symbol for tin, which is Sn, has a +2 charge, which I get from the Roman numeral, and chlorine, the symbol is Cl with a -1 charge. So here we just do what we've been doing, crisscross rule. So cross my charges, so I get Sn Cl2. Iron 3 nitride. Again, write your element symbol down. Iron has a +3, which we get from the Roman numeral 3. Nitrogen, since it's in group 15, we'll always have a -3 charge. Crisscross. So Fe3 N3. Since our subscripts are exactly the same, we're going to reduce. So that becomes Fe N. Again, when you have subscripts that are the exact same reduced, so copper 1 bromide, Cu, again, from the Roman numeral we get a +1 charge. Bromine, being a halogen, which is a group 17 metal, will have a -1 charge. So if I cross, I'll get Cu Br. Now to go back to name compounds. PbCl2. We're going to uncross my charges. So we get lead 2, which we got from uncrossing charges, or uncrossing subscripts, I mean. Lead 2 fluoride. So I'm going to move the CO2O3. So remember, this is C little o, not C big O. So we're looking for a metal that's C little o. Has a subscript of 2. The oxygen has a subscript of 3. So we're going to uncross, which will give us cobalt, which is what C little o is. 3. Oops, there's Ryan chloride. Sorry, it's going to be cobalt 3 oxide. So Sn and S. We can assume both these are 1, but remember, since S is a group 16 nonmetal, it will always have a -2 charge. Well, since the 1 and the -2 don't match, we are going to have to double all the subscripts. So that will give us Sn2 S2. So if I uncross, sulfur gets its -2 back. So the formula name is 10 2 sulfide. And that is all for ionic compounds with transition metal nomenclature.